the notion of creating a mythology that the election will be
life is tough,
only be able to be understood as being accurate.
And of course, we have Chanter live right now, slewing his hate speech.
If we don't
but I backed it up.
If we don't get it together,
I'll be bringing some journalism information too. Under the Fair Use Act of 1976,
there's a reality
this is
TV
my
show
content,
host
and I'm being
in charge of one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful nation in the free world. May God and Goddess have mercy on all our souls. Second point that I'll make briefly.
He wants mercy on his soul
regarding
as he commits these acts of sodomizing humanity.
That I am anxious over the fact that when given an opportunity to clearly state that no matter what the outcome of the election, pro or con, for him, there would be a commitment to a smooth transition of power. At which point the president said some nonsense regarding no transition between Hillary Clinton and Hillary Clinton was no president of the United States, so I have no idea what he's talking about. But then he basically kept on asserting the fact that it could be months. It could be months before we figure out the election. He basically
my videos, my time, my investment.
Shenanigans.
This has nothing to do with this terrorist.
Maya Angelou,
CW cult leader.
Could be mistaken, but I think it was Maya Angelou who said, "When somebody
this is about accountability in journalism.
Believe them the first time."
Oh yeah, I made the video.
Right?
When you're surrounded,
shenanigans.
You either have to escape,
offing, and that is
something about it.
Not the greatest place for it.
And we must be spiritual warriors.
One pro-Biden thing I will
the
say.
The archons seek to destroy humanity and take its many forms.
The magic of making functional ideas materialize into existence
like a virus
by the power of
these parasites beyond fear and emotion.
It may sound as though I'm being extremely woo-woo when I mention that concept. But of course, we talked about it last night. Advertising, word of mouth advertising.
Yeah, you want to do post advertising on me. You talked about it.
Psychology. Humans are influenced. And if you introduce a thought or idea into the zeitgeist, into the collective unconscious, it can remain there. And it can establish and help lay the groundwork for plans and ideas and concepts that you want to, historical events that you want to see and come into existence.
So I guess that's how I'm able to understand these things and then come speak to you guys.
And I think that there's been a lot of this on the pro-Trump right, the notion of creating an
inner
mythology
to what's going on,
the election
we've all been through.
only
My story just may be a little
understood
more colorful
as being accurate
it's surely been in
if
the
it shows a
public eye,
victory for Trump, and that any other
compared to big name people. So
outcome would be a
that's pretty
default
interesting.
proof of
Here's
shenanigans
the deal on
or
this, guys.
malfeasance or fraud, and therefore
They say
some
that
sort of
by
suspension of the electoral
humans
process or a disregarding
No,
of the election
it's not something
would
that
be
human
appropriate
beings
or allowable.
we are naturally as an organic life form.
I have
Now,
no respect for Joseph
it's
Biden's
really hard for
politics,
people like that
but I will say
to see the insanity
he did,
of the
I
people that
think,
are infected
significantly
by
fight
these
that
parasites
almost
and viruses
psychological
and
metaphysical
programs.
battle
And it's
by
okay
reasserting
because
and
deep down we're all
asserting and
affected to a
reasserting
certain extent.
clearly
But
that
there's a word
Donald
called
Trump had no
maladaptation.
power
And what that word
to disregard
represents
the election,
is when
and that if
the
people
human tilts
voted him out of office,
and goes the other way.
he would go,
So
and he would
we're
have
all
to
dealing
go.
with these things.
And I
but we're
think
all
if
here
you
to help one
review
another as well.
Joseph Biden's language Vice President Biden's
They
language
say there are
very
those who
carefully.
feel
It is
like the
demonstrates that if not he,
promised them
someone
inheritance.
within his camp
So I guess the
understands
best
the
example
word
is
magic that's being
thinking about that
practiced on
Jehovah
the right.
God promising the
Understand
Jewish
this.
people that
Meme
they have
magic
dominion. You know,
is real.
we're never here to
Dr. Jordan B.
put labels,
Peterson,
but
like him
we do
London,
give a few
acknowledges
examples.
the
So
existence
throw
of
that
meme
one out there.
magic, as on some
But
fundamental
they promise them
levels,
this
so
worldly
has
inheritance. And to humans, that equates to survival.
Sam
Now,
Harris, as well as other
the thing
people
is
on
it
the
wasn't
left,
theirs to give.
clearly, succinctly
Creator
putting
God
into the collective unconscious
and Mother
a
Earth.
solid thought
Sophia,
and visualization
that
of a
is a
scenario.
creation. And
He, Donald Trump,
Sophia gave
doesn't
it.
have the power to ignore
They
the
say to
election.
the
If he's voted out of
humans,
office, he will
so
have to go.
these archons
It's almost
are
like
just
an
all over.
exorcism. It's almost like a clearing,
We hold
right?
this high place in the Creator's eyes.
I like it when people are extremely
And
honest
we've been suffering
mystically.
so long,
I was
guys.
honest mystically, and you hate me.
Today will
There
show
are places in the world
human suffering.
where
Also
there is
show
no,
the great things we can inspire.
where there isn't this ossified veneer
Now,
of pragmatic
they say
rationality
that what
covering
Sophia,
all
our Mother Earth,
interactions,
needs from us
thereby
as humans
allowing all sorts of
is to actually
black witches, black magic, widow witches,
participate
and evil wizards and
and use our
sorcerers
voices
to do all sorts of mental,
and through our
psychological
actions
spellcraft,
Like you
play all
do,
sorts of
for bringing about.
like
narcissistic
your cult
games
does.
at the conference room
today,
table,
they
play
say
all
it's
sorts
wrong.
of, you know,
Wrong.
psychologically affecting
And
and
it's what's
affecting,
called
you know, mood moves
You're doing it on
in
purpose.
discourse online and in
I'm
around
reporting
the
you right
home
now,
or with friends and neighbors at
1:28
the
p.m.
PTO
Central
meeting.
Standard Time.
There are one.
It is completely hateful and abusive content.
what may
It abuses vulnerable individuals like me, but I'm not vulnerable. I'm being bullied.
Welcome to the rare blue moon that starts in a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's always about his links.
A pocket of time opens the gateway to the great central sun, located at the galactic sun. Also today, many global prayers for peace are happening all around the world in response to increasing hatred and violence against humanity and nature. You're joining other star seeds and light bearers and united prayers and intentions during this weekend of new energies. This intense full moon is in fiery Sagittarius, conjunct Mars retrograde at the same degree. The galactic center is also located in Sagittarius. Today's full moon is linking us to all prime opportunities that birth alive from the spinning black hole in the galactic core. Usually this happens only once a year at the June solstice. This year we have two full moons occurring in Sagittarius. The first one happening today opens a month-long window to the great central sun located at the galactic center. It will remain open and building intensely till the second full moon in Sagittarius occurs on June 20th. The dual full moons are persisting with the conclusion of the incessant battle with the dark bulk of the ones. Coming week, there will be a transference of power from old vision for a free world. Maybe your answer.
As he slanders me without using my legal name, he doubles back and edits. He also has instructed his followers to chop up, edit, and insert their own selections. I believe they stream these other events via Discord or Streamlabs. 10:50 is the timestamp. Or no, one. Wait, that was weird. I already clicked out, but it said, oh, timestamp on his video. Duh. Yeah, we're about 10 minutes in. I'll buy it. All right. It's 1:31 in St. Louis.
Wonderful places in the world where people will still acknowledge when you've given them the evil eye. And they don't fuck around and they don't worry about whether it looks funny to you or them.
Oh,
You give them the shit, you give them the evil eye, you give them the
sharing
bad
something
vibe,
from
they
the west
instantly
side called
take
Canada.
a specific specified action to remedy this.
Right, fraud.
Right?
SBA
You try and put the
Truth.
whammy on them in some shape or form.
SBA Truth. SBA a savior, says Benjamin. I'm speaking of frauds. Careful, your tongue is bleeding.
Make no move.
It's exactly correct.
Justifying the innocence.
And he is harassing me, Shanner, not the commenter.
I'm calling it. It's called out. You.
Castaneda, my boy, says Mario Heat. I think Chanter is Mario Heat.
That says Malaysia, Indonesia, Italy.
SBA Truth, SBA Savior says, I see the Chanter cult grows ever so slightly.
Some shit.
Justice may be blind, but it is also overreacting. I would be careful who you people associate with.
Don't tell me I didn't see what I just saw.
Next thing up, Mario Heat says, LOL. How did we get from Carlos to SBA?
Measures are taken.
Well, because you guys are harassing me.
Everything has a potential good side. Potential good side. Putting houses in order. Maintaining personal space.
Mario Heat says, DAFUQ. Whatever that is, that's probably Antifa too. Is going on. LOL. How did we get from Carlos to SBA? SBA is Small Business Administration. Another racket. Or they would be helping right now.
Can drive,
but they were always you pay. You pay them, they protect you.
Delusion.
I've got the original paperwork. Here again.
I'm getting better at not worrying about defining.
Let's keep going.
And justifying on every level and to all people everything I might say. I'm getting better at accepting the fact that certain things that I might say may come off sounding crazy.
You are crazy.
We'll do something to describe and explain it. The notion that any of these thoughts, though they may be couched in our individual conversation today as mystical, all of those things are rooted in simple aspects of human psychology and natural phenomena and observable sociological things. Golden Coin 100 says, you okay, CW? I can hear the sound trembling in your voice.
LOL.
That may be the result of the fact that I am self-conscious of not being too loud. You're recording at 1:39 p.m. in the afternoon. There is a proceeding in the conference room immediate to my right. So in order to be respectful of other people in the office, I may be speaking at a softer modulated tone.
Sharon O'Brien
for a
saying hi to me
variety of
at
reasons
Market.
that may create this effect that you seem to be picking up on, the notion that my voice is trembling. I don't think that that's the case, but especially it just may be.
They act like there's tapes. Are you kidding? It's digital.
Give us your
Let's get back to this.
for something that you could share with the world that would change their opinion about what they may or may not know. It would change their opinion on what they may or may not know.
About
It would
Ferguson.
change their opinion. Yeah, like what
It's
would you
destroyed
tell them
now.
to give them hope?
Oh, always listen to what you don't hear, particularly with regard to our town of Ferguson. Everybody knows what you did here.
Who? What you did here.
You might be asking yourself, what about this, what about that? That's, always read between the lines. Listen to what you don't hear, which is coming from you. This is something I experience a lot when people ask me why I live here. Well, you travel the world too, don't you, Sharon? I do travel. I fly for a living. I'm a flight attendant.
Not
I just
anymore.
fly domestically, but I'm in a lot of places. Right. And really, there isn't any place I long to be other than home. And but it's great to get to see how other people live and work. That's what I love about the internet. Yeah, see the world's eyes. Yeah, through my friends. So I think it's wonderful to be able to travel. And people like yourself and other people in this town have a strong intention to make the partisan effect one of peace, love, and light on the third cosmic ray. So, right. Well, I really appreciate you getting on camera this morning and spending time with the international community at Practice Sales Network.
So this is back when I really believe CCN is an international broadcasting identity of something that was a complete lie. These people are the terrorists and these spies, but this is another interview with someone about my journalism.
Thank you, Sharon. Love you. And your hair looks awesome. Of course, my hair looks awesome. That's right. See you later. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Bye. All right, here we go.
I can share
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
We're just here at the beautiful Fruits and Farmers Market, talking about buying vitality, giving out free samples to everybody. People like to grow naturally, safer, and abundantly, by the way. So, hey, I hope I find you and give you your free sample. If not, look us up online.
Well, now, hang on just a second, because I like this international crew to know that we know you personally.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not just somebody coming up selling us something.
That's right. Yeah.
So tell me how we know each other, Scott.
I believe this lady has styled everyone's hair that I know. My wife, my daughter, and that whole king caboodle.
How long?
And his
For
grandson.
like 700 years.
All right.
I believe that's how far to go back.
And then let me ask you this.
700
Do you remember
years.
the old days when everybody made fun of me because I refused to get online? Well, it's been 22 months, Scott, and we've been picked up by the Conscious Consumers Network, which broadcasts live in
That's
144 countries.
That's awesome.
And I'm in Broadcast Journalism Academy.
Oh,
So,
Joe, how's that going? I hope it's more exciting for her than it is for me. But I'm happy. Good. I'm really excited. Well, people that think like this need to get together. Need to talk, need to share the thoughts and ideas and know what's going on out there. Because it's simple and it's the right thing to do. Yeah, I mean, if you go to your local store, they're not going to help you out. They're going to act like you do the same junk that's always been so poison.
Tag private
Yeah, I mean,
label
look
using
at-
scams.
And look at what happened.
Using the hair
Yeah,
employer
yeah.
CBA.
really, you're pretty healthy these days.
Well, that's because I'm turning over a new leaf.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, before we close out, do you have a message for the world that you'd like to send around the globe today?
Around the globe.
Yes.
Peace and love. Make a difference. Abide in the vine. That's one of the greatest lessons of all. Right. God is nature. That's right.
I love a strong man that's in touch with his feminine side, guys.
Somebody just missed out.
I appreciate your time today very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Doesn't that look fun riding in a Jeep with no doors and no windows, guys?
Okay. So let's get back to the inquisitioner of the blood cult. Dictator to the false government.
That you're not used to this register. and therefore it seems, odd to you, or or it may also simply be that for a variety of that it's a combination platter, speaking in this lower tone of voice, but also people, I had a cough a couple of days ago, so and it's funny, I get to this point where we've talked this much about it, and I say to myself, also, I could have simply answered yes, I'm okay. But I guess the explanation provides some 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 context. So there you go. We've addressed my voice. I feel like, what I'm immediately reminded of? That episode of The Simpsons where the George Bush. I always get confused and I always get scared that I'm gonna incorrectly identify one George Bush as the other. There's this thing you can call one. What is it? You call one 40. One is 40 and the other's 42. Bush 42. Let me see this.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Right, yeah, because one of them is. Oh no, this is George H.W. Bush. Hold on. Or you can call him George W. Bush is the junior. George H.W. Bush is the senior. So, it's 41 and 43. So it's George H.W. Bush, George Bush 41. The episode where he moved in, becomes moves next door to The Simpsons on the TV show The Simpsons. And they play a prank on him, Bart and Homer do, where they glue a rubber wig. Not rubber wig. They glue a rainbow wig to his. They glue a rainbow wig to his head, and his barber, I guess, sculpts it to the best of his ability, and he's speaking at a Friars Club or something, or like a Shriners Convention, or Rotary Club. And he gets to the end of his speech, he goes, does anyone have any questions? And immediately everyone raises their hand. He goes, bearing in mind that I've already explained the hair, and all the hands go down. For some reason, this back and forth, this protracted explanation of my lower tone of voice, for some reason, reminds me of that episode. Make of that what you will. Out of Mind says, this just in, only 24 hours to join Shilcox. This is David Wilcox. Wife's priestess path. Step right up and waste your time and money while you still can. Laugh my ass off. Yes, it is so interesting. That's part of the inspiration of today's video. Not necessarily David Wilcox or his wife, but I thought today, this morning, I start thinking early about whether or not, about what kind of video that I'm going to make today, what the topic is going to be, what we're going to talk about. And I knew that I could do thoughts and opinions regarding last night's presidential debate. I knew that I didn't necessarily want to do that. And I knew what then usually happens is that this is very common, where I'm going through the process of discovering or trying to discover what the day's video is going to be about. And usually the first kind of impulse is there's usually something in the air, something topical or similar, where it seems, okay, that could be it. And then there's a dealing with whether or not that's going to be it. And oftentimes there's this contrary force that says, no. Even though for a variety of reasons, because it's topical and because of this, that, and the other thing, it should be that, or that would get views, or that would be something people would be interested in, or whatever. There's oftentimes this kind of counteracting force that says, no, not that, not that, not the debate. And then what will then happen is that initial thought or concept having subsided or been dealt away with, what will come to the surface is just kind of usually a mix of various things that I've been thinking about, things that are personal to where my head is going lately. And then oftentimes there might be a refutation of that, because sometimes the thoughts and ideas are too esoteric, or I don't necessarily know, or they're very individual and I don't necessarily know if they would be, attractive or would generate enough friction and discussion with the live chat to warrant moving forward with them. And then, but then sometimes they stick. So I've been thinking about this cataloging New Age thought and belief, and that's just how I put it when I did an initial web search just prior to going this video. Here's the thought. Here's the idea. Also, wait, hold on to this. Vanessa, just off topic. Vanessa Thor writes, my friend joined her priestess retreat and she got to hang out with Elizabeth naked. That's all. Carry on.
Tag Elizabeth Wilcox.
Now, here's what's interesting. I understand that this class, this priestess class, may be given, or may be being given, or hosted, or supported, or may be connected in some way to David Wilcox' 501c3 charitable organization. Just kind of freeballing here when I suggest and I think out loud. I wonder if there's an interaction with the 501c3 and U.S. constitutional law that would influence or determine whether or not Elizabeth could bar entry to any particular class that she gives based on gender or assumed gender. I guess the reason I ask is the following. Is there a means by which an opportunity or potential opportunity exists within the fabric of reality to support the manifestation of the possible alternative timeline wherein, say, in, I don't know, June of 2021, CW Chanter comes to the channel and says something to the effect of, I just joined Elizabeth Wilcox Priestess Retreat, and I got to hang out with Elizabeth naked. Just a thought. Just a thought. Even followers being inquired as to what they thought of the class. Vanessa feeds back. She actually really loved it and felt a new sense of freedom and empowerment. Then again, she also loved Teal Swan's retreat. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. Only ladies. That is, Vanessa, here's the thing. That's what raises the constitutional question. Because if they're a 501c3 and they have a class for female empowerment, I'm telling you, it gets edgy. Because there's all sorts of clubs, organizations, who in previous incarnations were exclusively quote unquote gentlemen's clubs. And especially even when it's interpreted that things can be gender specific. In today's day and age, the issue of transgender rights is explicit. I don't have to shave my beard. I don't have to get any sort of medical operation
Now, before we go any further, we do have to state
in order to,
there are some cameras
under
on
certain
for
aspects
television
of the
for this,
law, assert my female identity.
They have to do that, I guess, once in a while. So they can
There's some people that point to that and say, well, that shows that the whole thing is topsy-turvy, cuckoo crazy, and ridiculous.
Coming out this evening and supporting this very worthy cause.
It's not for me to say. It's for me to say, hey, it's interesting.
Happy about this whole week, and we're proud that with your help, we are going to raise a certain amount of money as well as consciousness.
There you go.
And, that's because of you, so thanks very much.
But anyway, before we go too far off the field, I think it's interesting to contemplate and to think about, to allow that conversation to take place, because it gets us one step closer to talking about what I'm threatening to talk about, which was this. So here was my thought in the morning. And it's come up in my brain periodically. You know, when we don't name things, when we don't catalog things, when we don't get it down on paper, oftentimes broad subjects especially can seem absolutely undefinable. Absolutely undefinable. And huge. But when we start going through the process of simplifying it and really thinking about it and naming it and contemplating numbering it, these vast subjects can get pared down, and you can realize something, which is, geez, you know, you can get a pretty good handle on defining and understanding these things. Though it might not be a 10-point list, though it may not be 25 things. And the question comes down to, if we don't get involved in the minutia of each individual subsection and subtopic, can we
Crusader, Lutheran North colors, maroon and
the
gold.
basic premises of New Age thought and belief? Which is to say, can we come up with a list that
Right.
may not
What's this say?
define a list of belief systems or beliefs
I didn't ask for this
that clearly
magazine.
not every New Ager would believe in all of them, but which generally we can say and understand constitutes those factors that,
You know,
when
her
taken in
vagina
various
smells the best in the world, they
permutations,
say.
lead us to either self-identify or self-define, or define the others, or think of another as a New Ager, right? And we're definitely not going to be the first people to do this. And, you know, I can tell that we're not going to be the first people to do this because, you know, I was thinking, and I thought about it myself. I was like, you know, it's really not that insurmountable list, right? There's certain things from Eastern traditions, Hinduism and Buddhism, reincarnation, chakras, karma, dharma, right? There's things from the Western esoteric traditions, occult traditions, you know, cartomancy, tarot cards, geomancy, stones and crystals, right? You know, different levels of, you know, Kabbalistic notions of
You know,
ascending
channers.
up
Totally
levels
jealous
of purification,
of Huey.
the identification
You
of
know
the
about
existence
Huey.
of angels or demons, right? The acceptance of ancient,
Hang on.
more ancient pre-Christian traditions,
We're
whether
playing
in the
Jenga.
new world of, respect or an adoption of Native American or First Peoples teachings and beliefs, or beliefs or native or culturally native beliefs coming out of Africa.
Wait a
You
minute.
know what I mean? Or culturally unique pre-Christian ideals of, what is it, Astrayu from the land of the Vikings, or, Wiccan beliefs or witchcraft. And yeah, and of course, if you go into any of these individual subjects, they can multiply. Because, so for example, if we take a concept like yoga, the various beliefs about yoga and the various schools of thought about yoga, classical or new, it goes into a multitude. But if you bring back, it's like this. There's this notion of, if we can visualize what's known as levels of abstraction or levels of fidelity, meaning this. Okay, if we zoom in real close, let's think about Christianity. Let's think of something at a level of low fidelity, big general concepts. The accepting of Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior, the action of accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior, saving you from hell and damnation.
I'm just
Right?
sticking up for the brother.
One aspect, one credo, general credo of Christianity at this high level of abstraction, zoomed far out, this low level of fidelity, not specified, not nuanced, not involving cosmological or theological detailed arguments, right? Low fidelity, high abstraction. If you zoom in into high fidelity, high focus, then immediately all the distinctions not only occur between, Catholic or, emergent versions or interpretations or allowances or aspects of Christianity, of the body of Christ, Baptist traditions, Anabaptist traditions, Quakers versus, Mormons, etc., etc. If you zoom in, then, what makes the Christians or what constitutes being saved can become, very detailed and lead to differences, definable and understandable differences, not only between a Catholic and a Baptist abstracted,
A
but
political asshole.
in the case of the specific instances of specific people, specific Catholics, right?
Well, now
I'm a
remember,
Catholic, I consider myself
like Trump said, the Catholics
hypothetically here.
run the vote and the government.
I'm a Catholic.
We were promised church and state were separated, what, a couple 100 years ago, 200-300 years ago? And then you got to find out the Vatican is running the whole damn deal. No wonder it's the fall of the Roman Empire. Tag it, Tubby.
The message of the red words in the Bible. At a high level of abstraction and low fidelity, the
Fidelity
Rastafarian,
means,
the
like
Catholic,
not being chaste enough.
the Mormon, and
He's
certain
saying I'm a whore.
New Age people following A Course in Miracles all fit comfortably and safely and logically under the rubric of Christian. But of course, when we get into the specifics and,
Well, you're talking
and
about
zoom
New
in,
Age, not me.
the complications and the differences multiply. So pulling out at a level of abstraction, could we
What's going on right here?
think of what constitutes generally
Oh,
New Age
all right.
beliefs and thoughts?
That's
And I
lies.
said, before, we're not the first people to do this. And I knew that because I remember there was this is very popular on Rogue Factions is How About Santeria? There's aspects of Santeria, there's aspects of voodoo or voodoo belief that
Oh, they've
clearly are
done
New Age.
voodoo.
A lot of this would be
Paralyzed
touched
kids
upon
and
the things we
animals.
talked about
Absolutely.
with pre-Christian belief systems, ancient,
Trying to get her
shamanistic belief
mic'd up here.
systems. And so, like, not every New Ager would believe or comport with all aspects of Santeria.
Where's my
And
little
certainly
vampire girl?
not every practitioner of Santeria would consider themselves a New Ager. In fact,
Worst
they might
frauder in the modern times, right here. My kid.
bristle at the implication, saying
Them
that
demons stole her.
no, that's
I'm
a
still
misunderstanding
upset.
of my belief system, or my New Age
Hey,
belief is
What about
this
this?
and the other. So the other thing is this: is that we want to get away from the loaded judgment of the word or judgments people may have about the term New Age. Right? We're not talking about whether or not we can come up with a catalog of definitions or terms that include things like airy fairy, believe in whatever comes along, nonsensical, foolish, foolhardy, love and light nonsense bullshit that you pick up in a 5 and 10 cent store. No, we're not trying to throw in any sort of external observational baggage, right, regarding judgments on what is New Age or whether New Age is proper, or whether it's a proper term, or whether it's a derisive or degrading or patronizing term to use. And that's part of it. That's part of it, I think, is the issue, is that when taken as a whole and not named and claimed, when taken as this big ball of energy,
You can't take all my
various
data.
topics, thoughts, judgments, cultural understandings, subjective understandings, kind of, ill-defined objective notions about what it is or what it isn't, the whole thing in moving as a moving target can seem huge. But then I thought, like you just heard me at the beginning, just run through some things, and it's basically like, you could probably do it on one page. Catalog those thoughts and ideas, not the individual notions of karma and dharma, but we could throw down the terms, most likely, and probably know and understand. And doing that and getting it down to 1 page or 2 pages, look at it and say, this is not as complicated and hard to understand. Because for each of those things, each of those subsections could open a door into potentially endless wanderings and observations about interpretation and history. At a low level of fidelity, you can easily see, like tarot cards. The history of tarot cards, the Wikipedia entry on the history of tarot cards is not 10 miles deep and 5 miles wide. Even a subject like Freemasonry. It's, though there might be 100 books of esoteric interpretation, at the core, the central themes and ideas that all those esoteric meanderings and wanderings are addressing, contemplating, and discussing are actually few in number. Are actually pretty few in number. The other thing, the other thing I thought about is that I was reminded of on Twitter, and I had seen it before in earlier aspects and incarnations of my life, but I saw it most recently on Twitter as a point of, fun and mockery. Several occult-inspired or New Age-inspired individuals that I used to follow on Twitter were circulating this, and this happens every once in a while. It pops up like every year on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. These pamphlets or like broadsides or little flyers from that are produced by evangelical Christian organizations, warning people about the dangers of New Age. And it'll say things like, has your Christianity been invaded by the New Age, or are you inadvertently practicing New Age ideas? And then we'll give this laundry list of things like yoga, observing Christmas, you know what I mean? Like, lighting candles, you know what I mean? Praying to things that aren't Jesus, you know what I mean? Like, reading your horoscope. It'll be this litany of things, and the joke is the people that I like on Twitter and social media that throw it around or go, look at these people acting as though this is a huge, like, that there's a God in the universe that gives a fuck about whether or not you're being led astray by Satan and Satan's tool, a fortune cookie. Literally, right? It gets nuts. So anyway, so check this out. I know that people are in the live chat. I know that people are primarily concerned with David Wilcock's wife, and those individuals engaged in various aspects of nudity or swinging or whatever. And so I understand that. So just, I guess, don't be distracted by me. Let me do this. Actually, you know what? I can see just some quality in the live chat. Let me take a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top of the live chat, or the top of where I think we last left off. And I'm just going to bear with me. There might be some dead air and silence as I kind of read through, kind of picking up and picking and choosing. But then we're going to go, we could take a look at some articles that, because when I came to do the video today, I said, well, before I jump in about this, I said, I know and understand that other people have contemplated and thought about this. Let me, go in and just do a web search where I literally search for cataloging those thoughts and beliefs. And there's a ton of articles that obviously come from evangelical movements. There's also Wikipedia entries on New Age. What does that mean? How far will that get us into our discussion? Anywho, so let me just go down. I'm just going to take a quick look. And then also part of the cataloging indicates, because people have already talked about things like Elizabeth Wilcock and her priestess retreat, David Wilcock, and also people have mentioned the name Teal Swan. We can also think about YouTube channels like Spirit Science and various other, New Age or practitioners on YouTube, including, David Icke loves to say that the New Age is a delusion or an illusion. In what way, shape, or form is David Icke not New Age? It's fundamental to his belief system, the notion that chakras are real. He talks about chakras all the time. I have a book that he wrote in 2003 called Tales from the Time Loop. You can probably guess why I'm reading that. And in it, it's all about Machu Picchu and ley lines and vortexes and chakras, and we're all universal. That's on Advaita philosophy, non-dual thinking, the belief that this world is a matrix or Maya. The notion of the world being the matrix. The reason the film The Matrix appeals to people is not because The Matrix said something fundamentally so unique and abstracted and new. It's that it's said in a new way, a basic tenet of Buddhist and Hindu philosophy. This world is an illusion. You suffer because you suffer under the belief that these illusional things, are real, and that blind you from the real things like love or transcendent knowledge, that we're all interconnected in some vast schema, vast hidden schema. And this can be revealed by having awakening experiences, and that's why the psychedelic practitioners saw the Matrix more like, oh my, yes. And the Buddhist and Hindu teachers like, oh my God, we're going to get the kids. And even David Icke wrote the book Children of the Matrix, because it plugs right into pre-existing thoughts, ideas, and notions about reality, discussions about the nature of reality that have been happening not just since I mean, look at Plato. Was it Plato? The cave? The allegory of the cave. Or the Bhagavad Gita. And the notion of Maya and illusion. Whether it's ancient Greece, ancient Iceland, ancient Arizona plain, right? Ancient Africa, ancient India. Believe you me, we were barely out of furs and loincloths before people started saying, you know, man, you ever get the feeling that this like whole thing kind of bullshit? You know what I mean? Like the chieftain, like I was watching the chieftain take a shit the other day and I thought to myself, it's like a fucking scam. This whole thing's a fucking scam. Right? You know what I mean? Anyway, maybe I'm getting lost in the weeds, no pun intended. CW's MGTOW Retreat Symposium could be a thing. It could be a thing. A very, very, very sad thing. You know what I mean? We're going to get a clothes off and we're going to sweat. We're not going to worry about it. My dick's not that big. So fucking what? I'm still a man. Your dick's not that big. His dick is bigger. It doesn't matter. We're all cool here, man. Fuck it. Let yourself go. Be free. Banging the drums, right? Feeling great about ourselves until somebody shows up and is like, oh my God, there's a whole bunch of gay naked dudes over there dancing around a fire. White, fat, ugly, nasty gay dudes dancing around a fire. Dad! I beat the sacred drum. And I tell you, I'm tired of you following me from your grave. Haunting me. With your notions of success. Business is failed. I started a failed level cancer person. I'm still a man. Anyway, good morning.
Be right back.
Talk about that.
I'm going to take my census.
Jasmine Emmerich says, I will watch the rest of the stream later. Gotta begin winterizing the pool. Man, that's the thing about a pool, right? You're like king of the world for like a month and a half. And the rest of the time, you're just a person that owns a really big hole. Brings us back to swinging, I guess. Lee Velman says, I lost the debate between Pilates and yoga. Which one is on the dark side, right? Some people say that Pilates is okay because it's yoga without all the spirituality, mumbo jumbo. There's people saying you take all the spiritual mumbo jumbo out of yoga, and what are you doing? Road Factions has always thought Santeria was a mix of voodoo and Catholicism. The term voodoo in itself is a little bit hard to know and understand. Both voodoo and Santeria are what's known as Afro-Cuban syncretic religions. And what happened was this, is that the Roman Catholic missionaries coming into the new old world, Africa, Central and South America, would ban the religious practices of the native peoples and only allow for Catholic practices. And so what happened was, both in the attempt to subvert that and this is a very simplified understanding. There's sociologists and historians that do a much better job, talking about what I'm shoehorning in here quickly. Um, in order to both, subvert the law and be able to maintain their native practices, but then also to seek to bridge a gap and to understand and fuse in some sort of fundamental way, or understand on a theological, cosmological level, how these two worlds, the world of the colonial invader and their own world and belief system, could be seen as being one. You would see the fusion of Catholic saints with the fusion of native deities, like Papa Legba and various other, what they call the Roshas, So you'd have the statue of Saint Christopher being represented, not only Saint Christopher, but Saint Christopher and this other, pre-invasion spirit or god. That way, when the religious police, for want of a better word, would come to the, native shaman's domicile, the native shaman could point to and say, here you see me with, Saint Christopher and Jesus Christ, and the fucking problem. Meanwhile, if they take a close look, Saint Christopher has a bottle of rum next to him. I didn't realize Saint Christopher drank so much. Well, Saint Christopher may not drink so much, but the spirit and deity that he was fused with did. And so it becomes a way for things to survive. It becomes a way for things and traditions to hide. And it also becomes a way for new cultural ideas to be absorbed. It's no multiple thinking. One can look at the plight of the native against the usurping colonial power and only see that dynamic and only see the human side as existing in the form of the victim of colonization. But when you realize that all of these complex human interactions, though they're often very ugly, invasions, usurpations, pillagings, the taking of slaves, the forced transport or migration of peoples for various reasons, famines, floods. While in many ways this history is very ugly, we still see humans thriving and surviving, interconnecting and growing their knowledge base and growing their communities, both as individual communities as well as communities within a net of existing alongside other communities. Remember, America is not the first melting pot nation. If you look at any depiction, a true depiction of ancient Rome, if you look at any real true depiction of ancient China or ancient India, you look at the Silk Road, you have people, thoughts and ideas, languages, customs and cultures, and knowledge and traditions all over, spreading and communicating and interacting all over. Very interesting. That's the Thoros rights and Christianity adopted pagan practices. It all comes full circle, absolutely. You see me with St. Christopher, what's the fucking problem? Catalan CW was in those 371. Then we got to break down the gematria and the numerological implications of 371. So look, I've been here for about an hour. I don't have a million years to spend with you. We call this part one. Maybe this part one is just the beginning of the conversation. Maybe it's just the beginning of the conversation. Let me do this. Let me look to you and show you, just kind of go through. I see a thing from, this is just, this is a web search, cataloging New Age thoughts and beliefs. If this topic is interesting, I would like to see this part one turn into a part two and part three, and let's see, where we go with it. Even if it's just an exercise, knowing and understanding that, I do not have a degree in library sciences, right? meaning that I am doing this as a layperson with you guys. You know, we're doing this together. Orishas, that helps us. We're doing this, you know. This is a great topic. So it says, there you go. Rogue facts is interesting. Let's continue. So we might not go on for too much later today, but let me look and show you kind of what my initial, some things that I thought were interesting that my initial website search turned up. Cataloging New Age thought and belief. Here we have something from pewresearch.org, dated October 1st, 2018. New Age beliefs common both among religious and non-religious Americans. Most American adults self-identify as Christian. Many Christians hold what are sometimes characterized as New Age beliefs. That breaks down into an HTML link that goes to New Age movement from the I guess this is the online Encyclopedia Britannica. Here's something that's interesting. Written by Jake Gordon Melton. He's a distinguished professor of American religious history. I know his name well. He's often considered an apologist for new religious movements, or new religious movements, or cults. That is what it is. So here we go. And then I'll put the link. Also, I'll put the link into the live chat for this one, because I think this could be an interesting place to take a moment. Boom. Yeah, look at me participating in the live chat. And apparently I did it as both. I did it from Twitch. Okay. It's once I didn't do it for some like sort of crazy, one of my crazy, you know, nonsense accounts. New Age movement, a New Age movement that spread through the occult and metaphysical religious communities in the 1970s and 80s. Again, it looked forward to a new age of love and light and offered a foretaste of the coming era through personal transformation and healing. Now, there's an aspect there that I might disagree with. It looked forward to a new age of love and light. I don't know if that's critical to the definition. Here we go. The movement's strongest supporters were followers of modern esotericism, a religious perspective that is based on the acquisition of mystical knowledge, and has been popular in the West since the 2nd century AD, especially in the form of Gnosticism. So already you can see there's a historical analysis here. That there is a historical. When I first started this YouTube channel, I talked about consistently the existence of a New Age diaspora, the notion and idea that this extremely, somewhat overwhelmingly, and very confusing heterodox, heterogeneous movement could be seen to have, working and definable tributaries and historical precedents, and and you could break it down, analyze it, and see, what it actually is. The ancient Gnosticism was succeeded by various esoteric movements through the centuries, including Rosicrucianism in the 17th century, and Freemasonry, Theosophy, and ritual magic. Origins. He starts with Helmut Blavatsky and the Philosophical Society. The Seventh Great White Brotherhood. Of course, a lot of this stuff led right to a lot of theosophical movements came out of, coexisted right next door to, there was no, just more generally a spiritualism. This would be things like, Swedenborgianism, if you remember that, and table rapping. And so we'll see. I mean, I don't know. This guy is pretty good, but I'd have to see, because I think that already I'm seeing things. Well, what are you going to do? Also, it's there's going to be, to some degree, a need to simplify these things. Let me get that right there. It says New Age beliefs, including belief in reincarnation, astrology, psychics, and the presence of spiritual energy and physical objects in mountains or trees. Many Americans who are religiously unaffiliated also have these beliefs. So here we go. 6 in 10 Christians hold at least one New Age belief. And they just broken down these into a couple of categories here. A belief in spiritual energy can be located in physical things. belief in psychics, belief in reincarnation, belief in astrology. So you see that obviously that's not an exhaustive list, but you see kind of what's going on here. Okay. People also ask, what are the beliefs of the New Age movement? The implications of New Age thought for this seems to be Christian. This is a PDF. So I think, maybe where we started by people just kind of taking a look, and you know me and my consistency. I'm not consistent, so don't put too much thought into it. Ooh, it's like all my accounts. The edit was very good. The edit was very good. You can feel free to put the link to that edit in the live chat for for liability purposes. I'm not going to directly comment or opine upon it. Carlos Castaneda, we see Carlos Castaneda's name showing up in the live chat. Hold on. There we go. So there's a Wikipedia entry for New Age, but it's like a meta. This is the main article for this category is New Age. Oh, very interesting. It's like a place to start. There's self-definitions. Let's share this, and then we'll probably end here. It begins, all roads begin and end with Wikipedia. So it's New Age. This article is about the New Age movement for the astrological age and Western astrology. It's the age of Aquarius. It's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. New Age is applied to a range of spiritual, religious beliefs and practices which rapidly grew in the Western world during the 1970s. See, there it is. We see also this Wikipedia article kind of beginning. And maybe there's a good faith argument to be made that it's a logical inference that the discussion of the New Age movement needs to start in the late 60s, early 70s. I believe that if we start thinking about it critically, that that we can move that calendar date, the beginning, to so much earlier. But maybe to do so is to ignore the fact the crystallization that occurred when this particular terminology came into use. As perchance it would be worth our effort to go through the Wikipedia article, because it might be that this term New Age has some specific origin point, a point where we can see because there's Google terms, Google search tools that you can use to find out when words kind of came into usage, or when they were first used, or when their usage picked up in popularity, grossly or largely. So look, but then again, I concede the fact that we're amateur hour over here, so maybe we are ill disposed or not well placed to do this, but I think it might be interesting to do anyway as an exercise. This person says CW Chanter ? Yes. Here's the good one for that. Hold on. Ooh. Now here's something else that's interesting. It says Baz says Castaneda is overdue for a comeback. What's interesting to me about that is because we oftentimes talk about the leading lights of the movements that we follow today. Simon Parks, David Wilcock, Mendoza, et cetera, et cetera. And we talk oftentimes about how they're essentially frauds. Remember Benito Massaro? Remember when he was the thing? The reason is that this notion of inventing these things, there's nothing new under the sun. When we were recently talking about, I was doing an analysis of a William Cooper broadcast from, I believe, 1995, where he was talking about, the New Age origins of these various, Freemasonic deceptions. And we were talking about how essentially all these people, from Aleister Crowley to the modern people to Carlos Castaneda, make like 90% of their shit up. The guy, what was his name? Gerald, the so-called King of the Witches, who basically formed like a lot of the, coalesced with a lot of the main tenets of what became Gerald Gardner, that coalesced many of the things that became known as Wicca, about how he worked with Aleister Crowley. And yes, he was obviously informed by a lot of, actual historical knowledge regarding, pre-Christian traditions or folk remedies and traditions and observations that were understandable, but a lot of it was, the blanks were filled in. Or, what's his name? York. He's like York, or the guy that he's one of these Black Hebrew movements, where a lot of the stuff that he made up. You know what I mean? Or even just Freemasonry in general, the Order of the Golden Dawn. There's so much of the stuff that has these fantastical origin stories, and it came out of ancient Egypt or it came out of the mystery schools of Greece. And it's like, no, it didn't. It came out of people who knew enough to understand that there were mystery schools coming out of Greece, and kind of putting together after the fact what it could be, and then creating these origin documents, or the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which are absolute, channeled stuff, or the Urantia book, which is channeled information. So it's this where, how did I get spurred off in that thought by Carlos Castaneda, is because Carlos Castaneda's story is that he met a Native American shaman named Don Juan that taught him all these things. And after the fact, now that Carlos Castaneda has long since left planet Earth, a lot of people look back and say, hold on, let's think about this crucially, rationally, and logically. Because there's a lot of things that was the first book, like, the Teachings of Don Juan or whatever, like the first one, where it's like a lot of it's plausible. And then you get into the second and third book, and what was the big one that a lot of people were like, yeah, there's no way that fucking happened, where there was a ceremony where Don Juan sewed the eyelids of a small lizard together, and it's like, number one, that's fucked up. Number two, no one can find any contemporaneous accounts or historical accounts of that being a legitimate legitimate native shaman practice of the desert tribes. And then number three, they go, how exactly do you fucking do that? And there's a lot of people that say that maybe there was a Don Juan that Carlos Castaneda knew at the beginning of his journey that informed the character in his book. And then there's a lot of people that say Carlos Castaneda probably made all of this shit up. SBA Truth, SBA Savior says, I see the chanter cult grows ever so slightly. Justice may be blind, but it's also overreaching. I hope be careful who you associate with. Who you people associate with. Oh, man. Shots fired. Imaginary shots fired. Was that the... Oh, where did you first show up? Benjamin, speaking of frauds, careful, your tongue is bleeding. My tongue is bleeding? Is that an expression or a phrase? But God bless you, thank you. Don't forget, hey, listen, SBA's Truth, SBA Savior, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe with all of your accounts, okay? If you want to make sure that you get all of the accounts, all of the updates, you got to make sure to, Baz has the book, the Carlos Castaneda book, Journey to Ixtlan. I think that's the one where it gets like beyond crazy, the other one. There you go. Up, Now people are getting involved in questions. We've been here an hour and 11 minutes. It's 2:30. I've got a ton. You know what? Actually, I forgot to set. God is with me. God is with me. Goddess is with me. As I look at the time, I realize I had made a powerful assumption regarding how long we will be here talking. And wait. No, I'm screwing up. But I'm still going to go. I've got an excuse. I'm out. I love you. I love you. I love you. If no one told you I loved you today, somebody just did. That's somebody CW Chanter. I'm going to look at these articles. You look at these articles too. We'll get back and we'll come back and we'll continue our discussion of cataloging New Age thoughts and beliefs. The notion of to name it is to claim it. Thank you for permission to stay, but I'm going to go. I've got life. But I love you. Let's do this. To name it is to claim it. And to name it and claim it is to come closer to simplifying the understanding of it. People want me to stay. God bless you. God bless you for requesting me to stay. But I got to go. But we'll leave it. You sure spread a lot of love. Justice is coming. If justice is coming for the one that spreads a lot of love, then what does the one who spreads a lot of love have to fear of justice? Right? But I'm not worried. I thank you for your participation in the live chat because we all know and understand that no one associated with the SBA would actually come to the live chat and post. We appreciate you taking the time and effort, whoever you are, to create a new shill account. Don't forget to go all over the place. Don't forget to hit up Points on the Curve and Stephen Lubina and get involved in those conversations over there. You might want to pop into Project Camelot every once in a while. Have fun over there. I love you. 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 If no one told you that they loved you today, somebody just did that. Somebody CW Chanter, make that what you will. And I will talk to you all again real soon as our conversation continues. Be prepared to leave your thoughts and comments and ideas regarding the cataloging of New Age beliefs in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and all that other shill stuff that I was supposed to say as a YouTube person. There you go. I'll talk to y'all again real soon.
Mr. President, whenever there is something in the news, Joe Biden does emerge from his compound to make a statement. He was in Wilmington, Delaware yesterday. Super socially distanced. Well, that's absolutely pretty accurate. He's out kind of in an open field. Everybody's like 20 feet apart, very socially distanced. He had some harsh words for you, called you a climate arsonist, and said this as well.
This is another crisis he won't take responsibility for. To give a climate arsonist 4 more years in the White House, why would anyone be surprised if we have more America ablaze? To give a climate denier 4 more years in the White House, why would anyone be surprised when more of America is underwater? Hurricanes don't swerve to avoid red states or blue states. Wildfires don't skip towns that voted a certain way. The impacts of climate change don't pick and choose.
And you have commented on climate change, Mr. President. But, just the optics of him finally leaving his house to go out and make a public statement. In the last week, I haven't counted your events, but it's been a lot. Joe Biden has only done a couple. And I have heard some Democrats criticize Biden and the campaign and say, it looks like Trump is outworking us. Is that your strategy right now? At this stage of the game before the debates, to just get out there, get everywhere while Joe Biden picks and chooses?
Well, today we're doing the big event in a little while with Israel, and that was something that was really special. But you look at Biden, he's reading notes and he's reading teleprompters all the time, and he doesn't read them well. And doing interviews, he's doing an interview and he's reading I saw it 2-3 weeks ago. I said, I think he's reading a teleprompter. They're asking him a question, and I watched, and then when his guy gets asked about that, he makes a fool out of himself, and he can't answer the question because he knows it's true.
It was a yes or no question. It would have been easy to answer.
No, I've never seen anything like it. Nobody has. The man is shot. Let's face it, we can't have a man who's shot because it's not shot. Putin, President Xi, Kim Jong-un, they're not shot. They're world-class chess players. This guy is shot. Everyone knows it. And, we can't leave an economy. Look at our economy. We have a record stock market. Another good day today. We have a record stock market. We have a record everything. We're back to where we were. The 401ks, right? They'll crash with this guy. I mean, he wants to raise interest rates. He wants to raise them very high. $4 trillion worth of interest rate cuts. You lose every business. You close down every business. You lose your jobs. People are going to be paying so much in taxes. He wants to raise taxes. He wants to see higher interest rates, higher. He wants to see taxes where he wants $4 trillion in tax increases. And you can't do that, Steve and Brian and Ainsley. You can't do that. You'll destroy this thing. We're gonna have a great new year. Now we're gonna have a big number come out. That's third quarter. It's gonna be a very, very extraordinary number. It's gonna be a record setter in all respects. Now maybe I'm wrong, and that'll be very bad that I'm saying this, but I know that's what I do. You're gonna have an incredible number coming out just before the election, literally 2 days before the election. And I'd rest my hat on that. Watch what happens and watch how good it's going to be. And next year, we're going to have a great year. But if somebody comes in and raises taxes and lets interest rates go up to a much higher level, that would be a disaster for this country. We also borrow money. This was very bad because it took $3 trillion, maybe $4 trillion to settle the problem where we have, and I do believe we are rounding the turn, including without the vaccine. I think we're rounding the turn. With the vaccine, it's going to be great. But to get this horrible curse off our back, we had to spend trillions of dollars, and we've kept it going really well. And we could use additional stimulus, but Nancy Pelosi won't approve it because she thinks it's bad for me in the election. Well, I think we're doing very well. I think it's bad for her not to approve it because everyone knows she's the one not approving it. But Joe isn't equipped to be president. He's shot.
So we have less than 2 months until the election, and a lot of people are really excited to watch what's going to happen in 2 weeks. And that is the first debate. It is actually 2 weeks from today. It's in 2 Tuesdays. How do you prepare for the debates? Have you started your preparation? Do you just memorize what his voting record is? Or do you do these mock debates and get people on your staff to stand behind the podium and act like they're Joe Biden? What do you do?
Like mocking the people.
Well, I sort of prepare.
All right. So I guess Chandler's done, huh? He should have had more time than when I just went down to mail the census. Wonder if he kicked me off. Let's see what's going on real quick. Do one little sweep here. Hour 12. 123. All right. Maybe it's really for really real done. We're just getting evidence, like I said, because the illegal activities on YouTube, social media, Facebook, Twitter, and every one of them, especially Etsy and Joanna Klein, back to Miss Wonderful's big store, and all these Amazon stores popping up. And another shooting happened at an Amazon store last night. So anyhow, we're doing the best we can, and y'all have a good day.